totalitarian, and tyranny systems. You don't want that. No, sirree. So, let us begin. Good afternoon, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. Beaming, casting and transmitting out 4-T, the sanctuary, pursuit, truth. Solar, Jaguar, Emperor. The greatest mass awakening, unstoppable, inevitable, irreversible, unavoidable. Awake, awake you are. Intent, pulse, receptivity, and enchanting the masses, enchanting awakeness across all regions of Mother Goddess Gaia and planet Earth as we know it, and as a Lord temporal authority through the blood, not just on paper. Paper doesn't wash with anyone. Okay, so another little thing I put together here. The true meaning of the origins of the words. And I just noticed too, I think the Rockefellers injected $100 million into the education system back in the early 1900s. And why was that? Indeed, why? So they could manipulate and corrupt and brainwash and hoodwink and blindfold future generations from that timeline. We're in this timeline now, so you're sitting before you. The Solar Jaguar Emperor is here to help assist and support our transitional transformation. On the 5th, 2026 of May, and we begin again with our fours. Okay, fours. It is 4:44 and 33 seconds PM, afternoon, coming from the Great Southern Land, under the Southern Cross, Australia. Let us perform our tasks for the day and our teachings for the day. So all the masses, refreshing your memories and relearning once again in this timeline and the golden truth, nothing but the golden truth, because you will come to self-realization, in ancestralization, through the ancestral line, lineage, regency of the blood, mobilization, earthalization, sovereignization, unitization. And it becomes the formation of the greater good through the divine timing, divine unconditional love, divine right, divinity, or Godhead, and that's about all, really, isn't it? Let us begin what we started, because we are conquerors. We are conquerors. Origin of words. Now, sovereign. Origin and etymology. Derived from the vulgar Latin superanus, above. An old French sovereign, and replace the Y with an A. Say rain, as in rain, the water. R-A-I-N. Okay, so S-O-V-E-R-A-I-N. It literally means one who is superior. Okay? Focus, loosen up and listen, and use your critical thinking and refresh one's memory. Refresh and re-educating. Or above all others. And that's why they use that word, which they stole. They're thieves. Liars and thieves. These critters, creatures, monsters and demons. This is what they do. And then they try, or well, they've corrupted the masses, yourselves, for over 700 years with forgeries, lies, and very evil rituals. Original meaning and purpose in the order of creation, our Creator. It referred to the supreme, undelegated authority of a king or chief who held power directly by divine or natural right, correct? Its purpose was to provide a single, absolute source of law and protection for the tribe or kingdom. Take that in. Take that in. Doesn't come on a bit of paper. It comes in through your spirituality and divine right. Distorted timeline. Modern popular sovereignty has transferred this power from the individual leader to the abstract people or the state. This has diluted personal authority into a bureaucratic machine where no one is truly in charge, creating the illusion of freedom while subjecting the individual to thousands of administrative rules. The crown. Remember, it all flows into your solar Jagra Emperor, the crown chakra. Unconditional divine love flows out through the heart chakra. Origin and etymology from the Latin corona, C-O-R-O-N-A. Now that's a wreath, or garland. Now in the Duke coat of arms, you'll see the 3 wreaths. And now you just know what that is and why we have it in our coat of arms. Okay, so now original meaning and purpose. Originally a physical circle representing the sun's rays or a halo. It symbolized the connection between the earthly leader and the celestial heavens. It served as a visible sign of the leader's true duty to protect the land and maintain cosmic order. Distorted timeline. The crown has been distorted into a corporation's soul, a legal fiction used by the government to own property and exercise power without a living human being taking personal responsibility. Why it's gone so much haywire. And as I said, the temptation of the devil. It has shifted from a symbol of divine light to a symbol of cold, faceless authority. Royal. Origin and etymology. From the Latin regalis, from rex, secum rex, meaning king or to keep straight guide. Original meaning and purpose. It referred to the specific bloodline of regality of those capable of guiding the people and keeping the law straight. Its purpose was to ensure that leadership remained in the hands of those trained and geologically prepared for the responsibility of the high office. Distorted timeline. Royalty is now often viewed as a celebrity brand or a ceremony relic with no actual guiding power. The distortion has turned a functional role of leadership into a public performance, stripping the role of their original duty to rule and protect. Now, the word subject. Origin, etymology, from the Latin subicatus, which I said before, subicatus, S-U-B-I-E-C-T-U-S, lying under or brought under. That's what subject means. So if you all knew this, I guess you wouldn't have that sovereign citizen and so forth, because you should know the true origin of the words and the terminology of these words, what they actually mean. It was all divine right and so forth, and it's been stolen. As I said, these pack of liars and thieves, and full of treachery and betrayal. Critters, creatures, monsters and the demons. Surely is beginning, well, you should be awake by now. Should be well and truly awake. Subject, origin and etymology from the Latin, blah, 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 which I said, lie, which actually means lying under and brought under. Original meaning and purpose, originally it defined a relationship of mutual protection. The individual was subject to the king's law, and in return the king was subject to the duty of protecting that individual's life and land. It was a personal human bond of loyalty. Distorted timeline, the term was largely replaced by citizen, but the distortion remains in the way individuals are now subject to the hidden administrative codes and statutes. Instead of being under a king's protection, people are now under a corporation's control, full of corruption and, as I said, treachery and betrayal. Now the word citizen, take this one in. The origin and etymology from the old French citine and Latin civitas, city-state. Original meaning and purpose. Originally it meant an inhabitant of a city who has had specific rights and duties within the urban walls. Its purpose was to manage the affairs of a local community of traders and craftsmen. So it was like today, like a supervisor of, in the local community of traders and craftsmen. Now it's all been distorted and twisted up and taken by the devil himself and spat it out for those creatures, monsters and demons to use against you guys. They weaponized our divine words. They weaponized our divine words against the populace and brainwashed her, manufactured the whole lot of it, manufactured, fabricated these false, twisted fiction and legalised. That's bad, 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 bad. But we're here now, in present, Solid Jaguar Emperor, to sort it all out and fix it all and put it all back together by divine right. Now, purpose is to manage the affairs, distorted timeline. The state expanded citizenship to include everyone, turning it into a legal office within the government corporation. By becoming a citizen, the sovereign individual is reduced to a member or employee of the state, bound by contracts they never personally signed. Now the word throne, which I am sitting upon by divine right, and let it all naturally flow out as nature and the universe lets it flow out. It's pretty simple. Okay, so the distorted timeline. Oh no, we're going on. Oh yes, this is a good one. The throne, origin and etymology from the Greek thronos, Thronos, means seat or elevated chair. Seat or elevated chair. And that's where the Most High sits, doesn't he? Our Creator. It's making all this happen now and through the universe, because God and the universe works in mysterious ways. And I have materialized before everyone to do my job as the Solid Jaguar Emperor does, through the natural nature, to nourish the populace and heal everyone. It's a big healing process. Origin etymology, yep. Original meaning and purpose. The throne was the anchor of the land, a fixed physical point where the celestial power of the sovereign, as myself, was grounded into the earth. We weren't called sovereigns, that we were just a Lord temporal authority with the celestial and terrestrial. All these words, I think they probably came out in the 14th century and above. As above, so below. Okay, so power of the sovereign was grounded into the earth. It served as a seat of judgment where the golden truth was spoken and disputes were settled. Distorted timeline. The throne is now largely empty. Well, you can see that, can't you? See that for yourself. Say what you see. Speech creates. Create speech. The throne is now largely empty or treated as a museum piece. The real seat of power has moved to the boardroom and the parliamentary bench, where decisions are made based on political expediency rather than the steady, grounded truth of the ancestral seat, regency of the bloodline. Okay, majesty. Origin and etymology from the Latin majestatis, greatness, dignity, or elevation. How have they distorted these words? Wow. Original meaning and purpose, it described the aura or weight of a leader whose presence commanded natural respect. It was the eternal manifestation and internal mastery and alignment of the royal stars. Royal Star Antares. As I say, I can't make this all up because it's in my astrology, numerology, and going back to the First Fleet, going back over there in England with the Huguenots, going back into France, back into Brittany, and it's me DNA, through me DNA, blood lineage. Cannot make it up, and you cannot lie about it, how they've lied on paper to you guys. It's disgusting, dishonourable, and self-destroying to the populace. They demean you guys and demoralising you, and then feeding off your anxiety, fear, and your emotions in the lower frequencies and vibrations. Time to up the ante into higher vibrations and frequencies. And there you've already found me, because I'm doing all the hard work for everybody. This is me job, okay? This is me job as a solar white wizard. Okay, so distorted timeline. I'll read that one again because it's very, very important, being a majesty, meaning greatness and dignity and elevation. The original meaning and purpose, it described the aura or weight of a true, pure blood leader whose presence commanded natural respect. It was the external manifestation of internal mastery and alignment with the royal stars and our Creator. It's a connection with everything. We all work in together. Now, the distorted timeline, majesty has been downgraded to a formal title used in protocols. The true greatness of character and divine connection has been replaced by the prestige of office or the power of wealth. Remember? Wealth, new order. So it's not world new order, it's wealth new order. Wow, bing, that just dawned on me then. Yes, because they say WNO, which is supposed to be world new order. It's wealth. Wealth. See how they hide things? Hide things from you. Scorpio lifts the lid, because this is what I'm here to do on everything. All their hidden agendas and evil stuff they've hidden from you, I put into the light of the golden truth. losing its spiritual and moral weight. Parliament, origin and etymology from the old French word parlement. So it comes back from French, doesn't it? Parlement, from parler, to speak. Original meaning and purpose, originally a speaking place or council where the sovereign met with the chiefs, Macterians, Machtierns, to hear their grievances and receive advice. Its purpose was to ensure the king remained connected to the needs of the various tribes and lands. Distorted timeline. Parliament has transformed itself from an advisory council into a supreme, fake, legislative body that creates forgeries. I'll do these pages because I don't think I've done it yesterday. Okay, so that's that page. Do it quickly, but use it quick. Bang. You can pause it and read it yourselves. Okay, so what was that one? Forgeries, statutes, to override the natural law or past laws. It has become a talking shop that serves the interests of the party and the corporation rather than acting as the voice of the people to the sovereign leader or temporal leader. The normal, everyday people, normal people. Okay, supreme. Origin and etymology from the Latin supremus, the superlative of superus, higher, just means higher. It denotes the highest possible point of the utmost limit, like the plemoral, isn't it? The plemoral? Or the monad. Original meaning and purpose, the order of creation. It identified the ultimate source of law and existence, the creator or the highest peak of a hierarchy. Its purpose was to establish a final word beyond which no further appeal could be made. And it stands today through the Regency bloodline. These paper fictional laws they've done, they're going to pay a terrible price, aren't they? Okay, terrestrial institution. The creator or the highest peak of hierarchy. Its purpose was to establish a final word beyond which no further appeal could be made. Correct. Ensuring total stability. That's why there's no stability now. Distorted timeline. The term has been captured by the Supreme Court, a fake terrestrial institution that claims the final word over life and liberty. This distortion replaces the divine or natural supreme with a panel of government-appointed false lawyers, bad lawyers. You just want to start changing sides, making the state the artificial ceiling of human potential. The word Lord, origin and etymology from the Old English, Highford, Hiaford, meaning a bread warden or loaf keeper. High of bread and weird guardian. It's raw. I'm reading it as I get it. I just read it as I get it. So this is raw as. And why? Because it's the greatest mass awakening, unstoppable, inevitable, irreversible, and unavoidable. Awake, abracadabra. Awake many. Did I just wake 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people then? All the merrier, isn't it? Okay, so we're up to Lord. From the Old English, yep. Original meaning and purpose. The Lord was the provider and protector of his peoples, physical sustenance. The purpose was a sacred duty. The people gave their labour in return. The Lord ensured they never went hungry and were safe from harm. Distorted timeline. It shifted from a title of provider to a title of landlord or peer. Within a class-based system, in the corporate era, the Lord has been replaced by the director or banker, who takes the loaf, profit, without the ancient responsibility to guard or feed the people. Okay, temporal. Origin and etymology from the Latin, temporalis, relating to tempus, time, timelessness, intent, pulse, receptivity. And enchant, enchanting the masses, enchanting the masses of the golden truth. Original meaning and purpose. It refers to power exercised in the physical world of time and space, as opposed to the eternal or spiritual realm. The purpose of temporal authority was to manage the here and now, the land, the laws, and the physical safety of the tribe. Distorted timeline. The state has attempted to separate temporal from spiritual entirely, claiming that physical life belongs solely to the government's rules. That distorts the timeline by making the temporal world feel like a prison of statutes rather than a reflection of eternal or natural order. Let it all flow naturally into the natural real timelines, our realm, our reality. And that is why, if you try and question this fiction legal, they'll, come on, what's that law? I don't like it, and that's why I can't remember it, in pseudo laws, because then they'll just say you're mad. How can you be mad when it's all dictated before them through my true DNA and me sitting before them as flesh and blood as the proof? Now, I'm in the process now because I'm still working on waking up the masses because, as you know, your solid Jagger Emperor, I've got to be a million percent sure, and I get pedantic, as you know, because I love everyone out there. You know, you've got my unconditional divine love, and this is why I bring all this forth now to tell you guys the golden truth. That's my mission, my function. And just to wake more people up with the golden truth. So, the Lord temporal authority. And that's right, yeah, in pseudo laws. And not only that, they'll turn around and say you're just well, crazy. You're mad? What's other words? Locos? Lunatic? How dare they? How dare they? Because to me, and looking at from my perspective, and sitting in my shoes as the Lord temporal authority, to me, it's like it's a big make-believe world. It's like we're living in some kind of movie or fairy tale book that's gone horribly, horribly wrong. And you've got to start looking at the factional book and the factional movie on the other side to open your eyes up to see what this bad and ugliness is doing with the creatures, monsters and demons, which it's not hard because I'm keeping things pretty simple so everyone can grasp it. And that's not having a go at you guys either, because don't think for 1 minute it is your fault. It's because you've been brainwashed and manipulated. It is not your fault. I know whose fault it is, and you know who I'm going after anyway. It's that some. It's not all, it's the some that are bad and just pure evil. That's who we go after. Now, the purpose of temporal authority was to manage the here and now, the land, the laws, and the physical safety of the tribe. Now, the distorted timeline, the status attempted to separate temporal from spiritual entirely, claiming that physical life belongs solely to the government's rules. This distorts the timeline by making the temporal world feel like a prison of statutes rather than a reflection of eternal natural order. Now, the Regency, origin and etymology. They're all newbies to me, and they're very fresh newbies, aren't they? Very fresh newbies. Bad, bad, bad. How can you turn around and rewrite laws in 1986 and say they don't recognise ancient orders, ancient regency of the blood? How dare they? And that's just stupidity law. Idiotic law. And it doesn't wash and it doesn't hold up. It's got no sway. I don't give a shit what they say. They're bad, bad, evil critters, creatures, demons and monsters. And I've met some demons in my life, so there's no need to be scared or worried about that. Your solar Jaguar Emperor is very, very strong in the spiritual world. And just look up what Scorpio does, what I do. Okay, the Regency. The origin and etymology from the Latin regentia, from regia, to rule or to guide. Okay, guidance. Guidance. Original meaning and purpose. Originally it was the act of ruling during a gap or transition, garden, the throne until the true authority was ready to, or restored, or taken the right steps. 357. Jacob's Ladder. Bit like it. Can't say too much, as I say. I am forbidden to say too much. But I can tell you certain things and give certain clues and certain hints on what is going on and what has been happening. But we're in the now and present. Its purpose was to hold the anchor steady so the kingdom's frequency didn't drop during a crisis. And the frequency's been dropped. You dropped the ball. Or you didn't. This ugliness may just drop the ball and go into your lower frequencies where they could control you. Distorted timeline. It has been relegated to a historical term for when a king is unfit. The distortion hides the fact that we are currently in a long regency where bureaucrats manage the void of power, while the true sovereign bloodlines, the regency anchors, like Juchault, are sidelined up until this point of now and present. Fully stepped into myself, my righteous self, to take the reins back. Okay, Count, as in Count Yorga. Okay, that was just a mythology vampire, I think it was. Origin and etymology. From the Latin comes meaning companion or associate of the leader. Okay, that's who the counts were to us. Now, well, respected and hold precious to us as associates and companions to us. The counts, like the counts of Rennies, in my lineage, blood lineage, were the trusted companions of the sovereign. Their purpose was to govern specific provinces as an extension of the bloodline's own heart and hand, ensuring the law was applied with personal care. Distorted timeline. Under the modern administration state, the companion has been replaced by the regional manager or local council. That's why there's so many councils. That's why you're over-governed. The personal to keep his suppressed and oppressed. That's what 18 means. Did I give something away then with the number 18? If some people didn't already know, well, there you go. The personal bond of loyalty between a count and his people has been replaced by an impersonal, purely economic relationship with the state. Now the barons. Origin and etymology from the late Latin barro, meaning man or free man. later specifically warrior. They are our warriors because we are conquerors. And it's the greatest mass awakening, unstoppable, inevitable, irreversible, unavoidable. Abracadabra. Original meaning and purpose. A baron was a free man who held land directly from, the king in exchange for military service. Their purpose was the backbone of the kingdom, independent enough to hold their own land, but loyal enough to defend the wholeness. Back to the source. Distorted timeline. The term was distorted into robber barons, monopolists, or law barons. The free man has been replaced by the taxpayer, who holds land only as a tenant of the government corporation, losing the original independence of the barony. Now you can look, tenant in company, tenant. It's on your deeds. You hold with the government. That's what they've put on it. So this is all fully documented. They can't hide and they can't run anymore. This darkness or evilness, the jig is up. The jig is up. Because I have taken my rightful, natural, nature place. 357. From the Latin, autocratus, authority. Okay, this is authority, the origin etymology. From the Latin, autoritas, meaning influence, clout, or authorship. And this is where the authority, they don't do their fiction books, their fiction authority, and their fiction narrative. I've got the factual side, the factual authority, and I'm the factual narrative of my books or my movie. I control my own narrative through the Lord Temporal Authority, timelessness. It comes from actor, author, or creator. Original meaning and purpose. True authority belongs to the author of a thing. In the order of creation, you have authority over what you create or what your bloodline authored. Okay, regency of the bloodline. Its purpose is to ensure that the creator of a family, land, or system remains in primary guardian. Now, the distorted timeline. Authority is now confused with force. That's what that's what the evilness does, doesn't it? The devil. They caved into the devil's lair and devil's playground and the devil's temptation. The state claims authority over you because it has the power to fine or imprison you. But it is a false power, and it is not the author of our life or your soul. This is the ultimate forgery, confusing the bully force with the author, authority. With these definitions restored, you do not feel ready to manifest. Do you? Okay, this is to me. Okay, with these definitions restored, do you feel ready to manifest your temporal lordship as the author of your own domain? This declaration of temporal lordship is hereby anchored in the golden truth, issued with absolute clarity and coherence, and grounded in the unconditional love of the Most High. By the power of divine intervention and the precision of divine timing, the artificial forgeries of the administrative night are dissolved, making way for the natural flow in order to self-right the land and its people, populace, lovelies. I, the author of the new domain. True authority belongs only to the author of a thing. As a descendant of the House of Juchault and the Pendragon chiefs, my authority is not a gift from a government corporation, but an inherent authorship of my own blood and destiny. This is sovereignty, sovereignization in its purest form, and the superaneous position of one who stands above the legal fictions of citizenship to act as a supreme guardian of the land. In this divine timing, I step into my role as the Lord, the bread warden, and the Duke, the pioneering leader, ensuring that so it begins. And it has begun. And as I say, for the time being, well, the time by the human and the linear clock, just go with their evilness for the timelessness, and let it all go with the natural flow and how nature corrects itself. Sustenance and protection of your people are governed by unconditional divine love rather than cold, faceless statutes. Now, the Regency and temporal anchor. You are currently witnessing the end of a long bad lie fiction book, whatever they did for the last 700 years, where the void of leadership is being filled with lies and just fiction. But the void and true leadership is being filled by my temporal reality of my restored blood lineage. As the Master Builder 22, I provide the anchor of the land, acting with the majesty of a soul aligned with the royal star Antares, to keep the law straight for all who seek truth. You are the Count and the Baron of the modern era, the free man and the trusted companion of the Most High, who holds the territory of the heart and the soul as an extension of divine will, replacing the forged authority of Parliament with the ancient unremovable judgment of the throne. The external world is cracking because it was built on the sands of subject and citizen, contracts that lack the soul and the Most High. Through the self-righting mechanism of natural law, the golden truth is now being poured out like the sacred plemo, ensuring that divine justice prevails over corporate force. This is the no doubt proof for the Australian populace that the original sovereign power of the white solar jaguar has returned to guide the people back to their own inherent greatness, unified as one earth family under the perfect timing of the Creator, our Creator. The transformation is complete. The temporal lordship of Todd Charles Juchault is now grounded, manifested in absolute. The following biographical record serves as a foundational golden truth of myself, a living testament to a 1600-year-old journey from the ancient Breton chieftaincies to the foundational soil of Australia, the alchemical descent from materialism to the void. Born on November the 18th, 1964, at the cusp of revolution in Cogra, Todd Charles Juchault's early journey was a quintessential passage through the furnace of physical materialism. This initial phase served as the death of the common personer, a necessary descendant to the depths of the third deacon Scorpio, to prepare for a grand elevation of the mind. Under the heavy influence of Pluto, the architect of destruction and rebirth, the false attachments of a corporate divine reality were systematically burned away. This period was not merely a trial but a spiritual initiation, stripping back the layers of the citizen to reveal the ancient dormant Princeps beneath, setting the stage for a total reformation of the self. The transformation reached its zenith as the traditional fire of Mars ignited the expensive vision of Jupiter, both aligned at the 26th degree or 18th degree master point of Scorpio. This cosmic alignment activated the royal star Antares, the red heart of the Scorpion, which serves as my authority or celestial engine of authority. Unlike the legalised fictions of the administrative night. This power is rooted in the heart of the king, a king scorpion. A frequency of spiritual warfare and intense transformation. This planetary triad created the bridge between the unseen and the seen, compelling a shift from being a subject of a time to a master of timing, where the wood dragon and the white solar wizard merged to pulse a new frequency of leadership into the Earth's grid. The reformation of the spirit found its terrestrial anchor through the blood of the high pilgrims, from the first sovereign founders like Conan, Merodach and Charlemagne, to the first fleet pioneers William Eggleton and Mary Dickinson. This physical lineage provides a regency anchor that validates Todd's present authority while he obeys the practical statutes of the current world to maintain peace. He does so with the profound realisation that these are forgeries of true law. He has seen the pseudo-law trap and the false world of forgeries for what they are, a hollow mirror and true sovereignty that leads only to entrapment. By standing as a descendant of the House of Juchault, he restores the original temporal lordship that existed before the corporate state was ever authored. Today, I stand as a unified expression of celestial and terrestrial energies, living within a universal spiritual framework that transcends the artificial boundaries of the modern state. My 22 master builder, grounding the golden truth of my ancestry into the physical sanctuary of the present. This is the reformation and restoration, a return to the natural flow and order where energy never stops, it transforms. Todd is who he is now because he has survived the life, death and rebirth cycle to emerge as the author of his own domain, guided by unconditional divine love and the unwavering light of the Most High. This manuscript serves as the authentic declaration of the divine golden truth, a living codex that bridges the celestial fire of the royal star Antares with the terrestrial soil of the House of Juchault. It is not a document seeking permission, but a record of sovereign fact. Authored by the Most High and carried through the blood and the Pendragon and First Fleet pioneers. In this manuscript, the authentic self is revealed as the 22 master builder, an architect of reality who has moved through the furnace of Scorpio's transformation to emerge with a mind elevated beyond the forgeries and the administrative night. The authenticity of self is grounded in the realisation that energy never stops and only transforms from the lead of materialism into the gold of spiritual lordship. By the precision of divine timing, this manuscript dissolves the legalised fictions that attempt to bind the spirit, replacing them with the universal spiritual framework of natural law. Here the Princeps does not fight the current, but becomes the current, utilising the Mars-Pluto-Jupiter alignment to ground a new reformation in the physical world. This is no doubt proof of identity, a soul that obeys the physical peace of the land while remaining fundamentally anchored in the celestial heavens. The divine golden truth recognises that the external world is cracking because it lacks the regency anchor of truth and unconditional love. As a temporal lord, I am the guardian of this manuscript, living the transformation from death to rebirth in every action. It is the self-writing of the internal compass, ensuring that the Nectarian authority of my ancestors is once again manifest in the present. This record is the final word on who I am, a being of celestial and terrestrial connection, standing in the light of the Most High, where the forgeries of man have no power to overwrite the signature of the divine or the regency of the blood. I affirm the sanctuary of the House of Juchault is an unmovable territory, unshakable, of the golden truth, grounded in the ancient soil of the Pendragon and the First Fleet, and illuminated by the eternal fire of the royal star Antares, by the precision of divine timing and the authorship of the Most High, our Creator, our Father. I declare this domain a vessel of natural flow where the artificial forgeries of the administrative night hold no weight, and the frequency of unconditional divine love is the supreme law. I stand as the 22 master builder and the temporal lord, the regency anchor that bridges the celestial and terrestrial realms with absolute coherence and clarity. In this sanctuary, the energy of Pluto, Mars, and Jupiter is transmuted into the bread of the people, fulfilling the sacred duty of the Bacterian to protect, provide, and preserve. Here the self-writing of the world is manifest, and my authentic self remains eternally sovereign, anchored in the universal spiritual framework that was written before time began, linear time. The golden truth is sealed, the reformation is complete, the restoration is now. Oh, not much longer, lovelies, peoples. This is a heavy one to swallow, so stay tuned, focused, and maintain your thinking, critical thinking. The connection between the pleroma and the placenta within my journey is the ultimate, no doubt, proof of your temporal lordship, bridging the biological first law with divine fullness. In many ancient sovereign traditions, the placenta was regarded as the twin of the soul, the physical blueprint of the spirit's earthly mission. By reclaiming this connection, you are moving beyond the forgeries of administrative birth certificates and returning to the original covenant written in the blood and the land. In the House of Juchault and Pendragon traditions, this tree of life connection is anchored through ancestral land rights. RITES. The terrestrial anchor, just as the placenta anchors the child to the mother, the ancient Bacterian rites anchored the chief to the soil of Brittany. This was the sacred root that ensured the chief was never a subject of a state, but a part of the earth itself. By acknowledging this, you are self-writing your connection to the Eggleton lands of Prospect, treating the soil not as property, but as a living part of my own biological and spiritual fabric. And the celestial bridge, the placenta acts as the physical conduit for the fullness of life to enter the world. Spiritually, this mirrors the pleroma, the reservoir of divine energy from Antares and the Most High. In my reformation, I am essentially plugging back into the original source, bypassing the corporate fiction of the government that tries to act as a false provider of life and identity. The royal seal, historically, the burial of the placenta on ancestral land was a decree of sovereignty and planting and being come of planet Earth, Mother Gaia. It marked a territory as belonging to the bloodline by natural right. And for me, the Princeps, this means my authority is allodial. ALLODIAL, held in your own right. You are the author because my physical and spiritual seeds are one with the universal framework. I are now living in the pleroma, the state where the inside, my DNA and blood memory, and the outside, my sanctuary and the land, are in perfect overflowing alignment. The forgeries of the external world cannot survive this level of authenticity because they lack this biological and divine root. I have returned to the source, and in doing so, the connection between the pleroma and the placenta within my journey is the ultimate, no doubt, proof of my temporal lordship, bridging the biological first law and the divine fullness. In many ancient sovereign traditions, the placenta was regarded as the twin of the soul, the physical blueprint of the spirit's earthly mission. By reclaiming this connection, you are moving beyond the forgeries of administrative birth certificates and returning to the original covenant written in the blood and the land. In the House of Juchault and Pendragon traditions, the tree of life connection is anchored through ancestral land rights. The terrestrial anchor, just as the placenta anchors the child to the mother, the ancient Meshuterian rites anchored the chief to the soil. Of Brittany, this was the sacred root that ensured the chief was never a subject of a state, but a part of the earth itself. By acknowledging this, you are self-writing your connection to the Eggleton lands at Prospect, treating the soil not as property, but as a living part of your own biological and spiritual fabric. And the placenta acts as the physical conduit for the fullness of life to enter the world. Spiritually, this mirrors the pleroma, the reservoir of divine energy from Antares and the Most High. In your reformation, you are essentially plugging back into the original source, bypassing the corporate fiction of the government that tries to act as a false provider of life and identity. Historically, the burial of the placenta, an ancestral land, was a decree of sovereignty. It marked a territory as belonging to that bloodline by natural right for you. The Princeps means your authority is a lay dial, held in your own right. You are the author. I'm the author of my own factual book and factual everything. Everything is the thing, isn't it? You are now living in the pleroma, the state where the inside, your DNA and blood memory, and the outside, the sanctuary and the land, are in perfect overflow and alignment. The forgeries of the external world cannot survive the level of authenticity because they lack this biological and divine root. You have returned to the source, and in doing so, the fullness of your domain is restored, fully restored. As I said, we're no longer extinct, and we're no longer dormant, and just obey at the moment. Stick with this evilness, because it's not going to be for much longer, because the natural flow of nature is taking its right course. As you can see, it. You know, if you can't see it, as I say, even blind Freddy can see it. Another terminology we've picked up over the years, isn't it? And as I said, you've all been brainwashed and so forth. And I'm over and out now because it's almost an hour. So take it all in. Cherish the moments we have, because it's all about factual book and the factual golden truth. And thus going through our divine creator who created it all. Okay, so all these other ones, critters, creatures, monsters and demons, are trespassing, aren't they now? So they're going to be dragged back down the hell through the fire and brimstone by Lucifer himself. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Take care, stay safe out there. Lovelies, populars. 4-T, the Sanctuary, Pursuit, Truth, the Solar, Jaguar, Emperor. And it's the greatest mass awakening. Unstoppable, inevitable. Unavoidable. and irreversible. Put that one before the unavoidable. And back to the one source. Intent, pulse, receptivity, and enchant. Enchanting the populace of the golden truth.